everyone. Welcome to my podcast, which is Fiber, Floss, and Fiction. I'm Ann P., and today is Thursday, January 16th, 2020. If you're new to my podcast, welcome. I hope that you have a reason to stick around and visit with me a bit and click the subscribe button. And of course, if you're a returning viewer, thank you again for coming back to spend some time with me today. Hopefully this is going to be a pretty short podcast recording. It's been just a little over a week, I think, since I recorded, and I'm trying to do something new for 2020 and keep these a little bit shorter. So we're going to go through our kind of normal progression of stuff, talk about knitting, talk about books, and then talk about cross stitch. So let's get started with knitting. So first up in knitting, I would like to thank the Madison Knitters Guild for having me to teach and to give their Monday evening talk for the month. I had a great time in Madison. The weather was a little bit Wisconsin-y, I guess. No sun. We had sleet the first day I was there, and then some snow, and then a little bit more snow. And apparently I brought that home with me because it is currently snowing here. We have about an inch, maybe in the last hour, 90 minutes or so. They're saying maybe 6 to 10, maybe 6 to 12, or 15 inches. We'll find out. Yeah. Anyway, thank you all if you are someone from the Guild who came and took a class or came and listened to my presentation. I had a great time. I would love to be asked back. It's a wonderful organization. I'm actually going to link their webpage below because they do a lot of community service type projects. So if you're in the market for someplace to donate either yarn or finished items, they're a great resource, and they have, I think it's around 600 knitters in their guild. So lots of different outreach programs and a really vibrant group. Special thanks as well to Susan for allowing me free reign of her beautiful house and her well-stocked kitchen. I think I gained 5 pounds while I was there eating her wonderful cooking, and enjoyed hanging out with her in the evenings as well as her critters. So I am back from that event. The next thing on the horizon is going to be Stitches West, which is in the Bay Area. I will be there for the entire event. I'm teaching classes, and you can always find me when I'm not teaching in the Yarn Guys or Wall of Yarn booths. They are sponsors of the event, so they have a whole bunch, and they also carry my yarns there. So hope to see a few of you there in February when that happens. So what have I been working on? I've got a few things that I've been trying to get sort of tidied up. I have the last small accessory piece that will be a pattern release for Stitches West, just about done. It's fingerless mitts, and I need to knit the thumbs on both of them. The rest is done, and then I just need to finalize the pattern draft on those. I did get, before I left, a little bit of progress in on my Heart Warmer cowl. This is by Letty's Knits. It's available as a Ravelry download, and it is knit for fingering weight yarn. It's kind of a sampler type cowl. And I've been enjoying working on this. I put it aside because I felt like I was close enough that if I took it on the plane with me, I would finish it. And I already had one project, which was the mitts, that was smaller. So I'll show you what I opted to cast on in just a minute, but let me show you the cowl to this point. This again is Woolly Wonka Fibers Ayrton Sock. It's the Merino Cashmere Nylon Blend in the colorway turquoise. And I have finished down to where I'm working on this pretty smocking pattern that has some wrapped stitches involved in it. So once I finish that, I have one more textured stitch section, and then the final ribbing, and then this can get cast off. So I'm going to try to get this done this weekend. I'd like to have it off my plate and be able to block it. It is slated to be the second project for the Knitter's Journey Club this year, and I'm really excited about seeing how it looks when it's blocked because I already love it. And it'd be great to have something to wear under my winter coat for going outside to shovel snow, which I think is in the cards for me. So that's where that project is. So look for that to be finished up next time I visit with you guys in another week or so. So I decided that I would need something to cast on for travel knitting, and I opted to go with a garment. And since it is just the beginning of the garment, I just could take one skein of yarn. This is going to be the garment selection for the Knitter's Journey Club in the second third of the year. This is Joji Locatelli's Spectre. It's a fingering weight fade or gradient type sweater. It has a yoke construction here at the neck with twisted stitches and some really straightforward ribbing. And I am opting to do mine in a purple colorway set. So I'm using at the very top my speckled dyed unicorn, which is one of my all-time favorite colorways to work with. If you've been around here before, you've probably seen other versions of it. So I went ahead and cast on, and I have, sorry, this got all twisted because I shoved it in my bag. So here's the neckline cast on, and I have started to work the ribbed pattern on the yoke. And coming down here, you can see we've kind of made some little flower bud shapes. And I'm working on the next increase round, so I'll need to go up a needle circumference to do that. But that is at least started and on its way. Doesn't look like much at this point, but I love all those little pops of the brighter fuchsia in there with the charcoal and lavender. So you'll see that one coming along as we go. It's a pretty straightforward project. It's not super difficult. It worked in the round as most yoke construction is, so you don't have to worry about a lot of back and forthing. It's great for travel because you can just be on the row you're on and mark it and zoom around and do that. So that is what I'm currently working on for my knitting projects. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to books. So I finished up several pieces in books this last week or so. I'm going to talk first about the book that I had started but had not yet finished when I was recording last time. The book is called The Murmur of Bees, and the author is Sofia Segovia. This was originally written in Spanish and translated into English. I am trying this year to add in a few books with sort of non-US or UK authors and do a little bit of sort of a world tour of reading, and this is one of those that I chose to do that with. The book is set in the early 20th century in Monterrey, Mexico, which is northern Mexico, close to the California border. And it follows the story of a landowner's family. They're sort of a larger landowner, and they're concerned that their land is going to be seized by the government in one of the different multiple overthrows of the government that was happening in that period. And into the story comes the property owner's absolutely ancient nursemaid. She is kind of this old wizened woman, and she sits on the front porch in a rocker and kind of never moves, never speaks. She's almost like a fixture on the front porch. And one morning the family notices that she's not there. And they go to try to find her, and she has removed herself from the porch because she's heard a small infant crying, and she's gone to rescue him from under a bridge. And she brings him home, and when they unwrap unwrap the cloths that she's wrapped him up in, he's completely covered with bees. The bees aren't hurting him or stinging him, but they've formed kind of a protective layer over him. This little boy also has, it's never exactly stated what is wrong. He has some malformation of his mouth, and so he cannot form words easily. I don't know if it's like a cleft palate or something like that, but it kind of sounds like it. So the old nursemaid keeps him alive, keeps the infant alive, and this family who has 2 daughters who are middle school age winds up making this little boy their godson, and they name him Simonopio. And as he grows up, he continues to have this kind of almost unworldly attachment to and relationship with bees. He spends most of his days in the woods and climbing mountain trails with the bees following him or him following the bees. And so he grows up his own kind of independent, slightly wild, meaning he's not interested in civilization, not that he's doing wild and crazy things, just kind of not following the path of this fairly well-off landowner's family. So into the history of this book, the author draws in the Spanish influenza, which was a big deal in this book. It's a major plot driver. It brings in all of the regional as well as sort of national Mexican military events, and it talks about the switch from a sugarcane and other agrarian growing plantation society to one that's focused on citrus trees. So the book is about, obviously it has these layers of history that drive a lot of the plot, but it's also about what it means to be a family and who makes up a family and things that you're prepared to do for your family, and understanding that everybody is their own independent person who has to find their own way in life. And the book is told from the voice of now he is an old man, but he is the natural son of the landowner and his wife, who's a very late in life baby. He arrives after Simonopio has been adopted and is already in his early teen years, and the little boy arrives as an unexpected blessing, and his arrival also sets into being a chain of events that winds up changing the whole makeup of this family. Really nicely written book, beautiful words, beautiful language in it. I loved the character of Simonopio. Everyone should have a Simonopio in their life, I think. He is a wonderful person and really understands how important things are in his life and what things are important in his life. So a good book, one that I would recommend. Yeah, it's a little bit of a tearjerker, but it's not a depressing book by any means. It's a very uplifting and upbeat book. So the next 2 books I'm going to talk about are both by the author Ilona Andrews. She and her husband write under the pseudonym of Ilona Andrews, the author and her husband. And they are fantasy novels. They are the author who created the Kate Daniels series, if you've read that. It starts out with, I think, Magic Bites. So this is a different series, completely different characters and different world. The main character, Mina, is the owner of an inn, kind of a bed and breakfast, and the inn is a sentient being in that it is tied to her, and when she's on her home turf, she and the inn kind of feed off each other's magical powers. The inn can grow rooms at her request. The inn can create sort of different universes. There are portals that exist within the inn to other points in the universe. So she is charged as the innkeeper with creating kind of a neutral ground so that intergalactic space travelers can land on Earth, stay at the inn as long as they need to without fear of being attacked, and then continue on with their journey or their life. She has one 365 or sort of a resident boarder who is a great character in and of herself. And so she's been the young woman Mina's been running this inn and is kind of down on her luck. She doesn't have a lot of traffic, and the inn is kind of on the Michelin ratings, it's like 1.5 stars kind of thing out of 5 stars. So both of these books feature her as the main character. Into this, the other characters in the mix for book 1 include a vampire who is one of the warrior chieftains of his clan, and a werewolf who, if he knows he's a werewolf, but he thinks he's just an anomaly from 2 normal parents, which he is not. That probably won't come as a surprise. So these 2 books are basically about their adventures. It's about her protecting the universe and at the same time trying to figure out what happened to her parents, who are also innkeepers and who disappeared, and kind of sticking with her innkeeper code even though all this crazy stuff is happening around her. Are either of them great pieces of literature? No. Are they really entertaining and perfect airplane books? Yes. I love this writer. They do a great job with their character development. They do a great job with their world building. The characters are quirky. It's fun. In the first book, for instance, the innkeeper needs to take a Costco run, and while she's there, an alien shows up and tries to attack her. And as she says in true Texas style, one of the women in Costco refuses to back down or run away from this monster and winds up hitting it over the head with an extra large container of bleach and knocking it unconscious. So there's all kinds of sort of little insider bits of humor about sort of our Earth world as seen through the eyes of someone who is aware that there is lots of strange things out there in the universe. A little bit Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy mixed in there. A little bit of adventure. There's sort of a budding romance happening, and just well-written, fun fantasy books if you like those kinds of books. So that's books 1 and 2 in that series. I'm also started, but not far enough through that I'm close to being done, but we'll talk about next time, a book I'm enjoying very much called Washington Black, which is about a young slave boy in Barbados in the 1830s and 40s. So I will report on that next time, but that is on the horizon, so stay tuned. So next we're going to move along and we're going to talk cross-stitch. In cross-stitch, I am very happy to say I have a finish. I took this to my overnight stay before I flew out of the airport. Our airport's about 2 hours away. I think I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry, it'll sneak up on us either way. Okay, so what I took down, I knew I was gonna get done and did not take it with me on the plane, but that's perfect. And that is Brenda Gervais' word play for April. I showed you this I was working on last time. I have stitched this on an 18 count Ariosa in the colorway Heirloom. It is stitched 2/2 using mostly color and cotton threads. The only one that was not is the white here and in the little motifs there, which is chalk from Gentle Arts, but I did the conversion myself. So a little bit bigger than my other ones, but I love how this one turned out. It's a little bit washed out right now. We've got the snow happening, so there's a lot of bounce light coming in from my side porch there. Love this little bunny. He's adorbs. And I really like this little bee skeep with the daffodils. Yeah, really, really happy with this and how it's turned out. I was using this for a couple of different challenges, but it is one of the things in my Stitch 20 in 20 challenge I am challenging myself with to get 20 finishes of some kind or another this year. So this is number 1. As I said last time, I'm likely going to go ahead and actually get a small white frame for that one rather than doing it as a cushion because it's a little bit big for that. And just want to get that far. Y'all will get to see that. All right, the next thing that I've been working on is my Heaven and Earth design called Winter's Encounter. I'm doing the mini. It's artwork by Laura Prindle, charted by Heaven and Earth. I am using this for the Full Coverage Fanatics Around the World Challenge in January because our country that we're looking at is Australia. And I am using The Man from Snowy River, that great movie, which is set in Australia and is about the sort of Australian wild horses. I am using that as the theme, so it has horses, and here is where I am. I'm working on this page up here. This column is done except for about that much. There's a very partial page down here at the bottom. So I'm working on this full page up here. And just picked this up last night, so it only has a couple hundred stitches into it, nothing crazy, but I'm going to work on it this weekend and try to get more done. Got his eye appearing here, and then this kind of odd browny purple spot is a portion of his headstall, of his bridle, and it kind of comes down across there and then across his nose there. So I'm using this for our Challenge and Full Coverage Fanatics. I'm also using it for one of the Semi-Stained Stitcher challenges for their Around the World event, which is focused on China for the month of January. And this is for one of the animals that appears in the zodiac, Chinese zodiac, for the Year of the Horse. We'll see how far I get on this. I haven't decided if I'm going to hit a certain mark, like 2,000 stitches or something, and then stop, but I would like to get a fair amount plugged in on that one in the short term if I can. Page finish on that is also one of my finish goals for 2020, so I want to make sure that that happens. Okay, and then I wanted to make a quick mention. We finally got together with some friends of ours here locally for Christmas celebration, and I owed her a birthday present from October, if that tells you how busy both of our schedules have been. So we went out and had a really nice dinner out after the turn of the year with she and her husband are friends with me and my husband, so the 4 of us went, and she had put together a great holiday package for me. I'm not going to show you everything. She included some patterns and some tea, some chocolate, stitch markers for knitting, but I did want to share with you guys this awesome little tool. It's made out of wood. It looks like a bobbin, sewing bobbin. The top of it has a space for you to use to put your scissors. This is a magnet for your needle or something else metallic. And then she got me the scissors as well. Those are part of the gift. She made me this great scissor fob that has keys. It has a small bell on it. It has this fantastic snowman. Just really fun and jangly, and then this huge key on it as well. And the way that she makes these, which is really, really smart, is all of these smaller pieces actually come off. So for instance, I don't know if I can do this holding it up. No, is the answer to that question. So for instance, this comes off, and you can use it separately as a knitting stitch marker, which I love. I love how they're all attached together though, and I love kind of the jangliness of them when I use these scissors, which are also super nice scissors. So thank you, Joy. I am really loving having that on my little space next to me while I'm working on my stitching and my knitting at night. Yeah, a really nice gift, so thank you. And it was good to see you both in passing for dinner. So the last little bit that I want to do today is to announce my giveaway winner. This was up for grabs in my last video, and it is the print version of this since I have finished up Hawk Run Hollow. So I went ahead and popped into the random number generator the folks who had the numbers of the posts for the folks who had commented on their favorite holiday tradition, which was really fun to read. I loved hearing all the different things that everybody associated with the holidays and things that they've done with their families and just family traditions or things that they've done with friends. A lot of great fun, interesting things in that. So the person who is the winner is Fran Lindenmeyer. So Fran, I will reply to your comment on my previous video and let you know how to get in touch with me. If you can send me your snail mail address to the email address that I'm going to send to you, that would be fantastic, and I will get your pattern packed up and shipped out to you shortly. So thanks to everybody who participated in that, and sorry I did not have a copy to give away to everybody who wanted one. More to come at some point. I tend not to think about, certainly not for something this size. I will never stitch this again, so it might as well go to someone who's interested in stitching it. I think that is going to be it for me this go round. Again, I am going to try to keep these slightly on the slightly shorter side going forward in 2020, and we'll see how that works out. Wherever you are in the world, I hope that you are having a great middle of the month and getting all kinds of good crafting progress done, whatever the craft you enjoy most is, and that you're all keeping well and either warm or cool, depending on where you are in the world. So until next time I talk to you, be well.